Hi, this is Misha, and this is kind of our continuing revisitation of Japanese small arms of World War II. And in my hands is a Type 2 Paratroopers Takedown short rifle. The Type 2 is exactly what it is. It's a takedown version of the Type 99 short rifle, intended for paratroopers and others needing a gun that could be disassembled for transport. The original Type 99 was adopted in 1939. It had been created at the Nagoya Arsenal. And as soon as that happened, in 1940, Nagoya started working on a takedown gun. This began with the Type 0 for 1940. And it was a gun that had an interrupted thread where the barrel could be twisted off and disconnected. It also had a removable cocking handle, which could be unscrewed. Not many Type 0s were made. It never got out of the prototype pre-production stage. And the next attempt was the Type 1 for 1941. Hello, Hobo the Cat. So, the next was the Type 1, which was nothing more than an Arisaka Type 38 carbine with a 19.5-inch barrel that had a hinge installed in the stock right here at the wrist, not unlike a hinge on a door, so the stock would fold over. This too did not go very far. Only a few hundred were ever made. These went to the Japanese Navy. The Type 1, I don't know how serious they really took it, because they're reverting back to the 6.5 cartridge. We're using a carbine. We have a pretty weak folding stock hinge, and when you fold it over, you're not really saving anything because you're just taking length off the back and adding it to the side. Anyway, they tried that. But what actually stuck was the Type 2 here. It was adopted in 1942, hence the Type 2. And is a wedge takedown type gun. And by that I mean we have kind of a grenade ring here. We unscrew that if I can. Sometimes these get sticky. That's why they get a thing here. There we go. Once they start going, this unscrews. And this wedge pulls out. And all you do after that is pull it apart. In this section, we have the 25 and some change inch barrel. It is still chrome lined. You can see the chamber back here. We have full length wood handguard. We have the traditional anti-aircraft sights. Boop. We have a cleaning rod held in with a push button. Now this rod is a little bit shorter because of the takedown mechanism, so it's not interchangeable with the standard, but it's very, very similar. The one thing we don't have on the Paratrooper, and we never did, was the monopod. Again, if you've watched our early and our mid-war videos on the 99, the monopod was really the very first feature to go. And since this model wasn't adopted until 1942, by the time it came into service, the monopod was already gone. Still have a standard side swing swivel here too. So that's the front half. The rear half, we have the pin here, of course. And the front here. Have this large metal ring and socket where everything goes in. You can see on the top here the receiver is thicker. Just goes up higher. Still have a royal chrysanthemum, of course. Still have a dust cover. Now the cocking handle is not removable. They discarded that from the Type O because it just, for several reasons. It could get lost, the threading could get goobered up. It wasn't necessary. The benefits were outweighed by the costs. The bolt is still the same as on an Arasaka then. Same magazine, same trigger. The rear sling swivel is the same, but now we have this inletted cut above it as well. And that is pretty much the Type 2. It is extremely similar to a 1942 production Type 99, which is not surprising because that's all it is. Really the takedown system, it's very similar to the Type 0 in the two halves and everything. They just went from the interrupted screw to the wedge system because it was stronger and easier. So kind of interesting. Locks in here. Push that in. This is a matched gun. The serial numbers on the barrel band, receiver, bolt will all match. You will also find an assembly number on the side showing each half matching. Because of the takedown net mechanism, this is a little bit heavier, but otherwise is very similar dimensionally to the Type 99. These would go into production in 42. They would produce them until 1944, when the exigencies of war would force them to stop. No one knows exactly how many were made, but estimates range from 21,000 to about 24,000, maybe 25 on the extreme high end. It is clear that they did have the anti-aircraft sights until about serial number 19,000, give or take. So the last few thousand would not have the anti-aircraft sights. They would also have a little bit cruder bluing, fit and finish, things you would expect from 1944 guns. This is a pretty early one though, so it still has relatively nice bluing, nice wood finishing. It's just a nice gun all in all. I'm much appreciative to the friend that let me buy this one off of him at a very good price. I'll keep his name secret since I don't know if he wants to be mentioned on the YouTubes, but he knows who he is, and I'm very appreciative to have a chance to have this short rifle. And yes, the Japanese Arasaka Type 2 Paratroopers. And that's really about it. These were very popular trophies with American GIs to bring home, for obvious reasons. Even to them back then, they were a kind of unique and rare gun. That's why a lot of these do survive today in unsporterized, although I have seen a sporterized Type 2, and it was as sad and depressing as you might imagine. But most of these do survive in unmessed with form. That said, a lot of them are front and half mismatched, and that's just because of the war and soldiers trading stuff around and these being picked up here and there and so on and so forth. But with only 21 to 25,000 made in World War II, it's a relatively uncommon bird these days and a really interesting piece of Japanese history. Not many combatants in World War II had a paratroopers version of their standard infantry bolt-action rifle. The French CR-39 comes to mind, but no others do off the top of my head. You know, the Germans had the FG-42, but that was in no way a standard issue gun and you know, wasn't based on the Kar-98. Anyway, this is Misha. Really appreciate you tuning in. If you have any questions or comments, we really welcome them below. If you like the video, please click. If you haven't subscribed, we really wish you would. We have quite a few other Japanese videos these days, so please check those out if you're interested. And as always, tune in next time for more hopefully unique and interesting guns. We'll catch you next time.